Arguably, 2023 was one of the most dramatic and best seasons of downhill racing we've seen in a long time, and I know people love to argue about it online, but let's take a look at some of the biggest stories and most dramatic moments of downhill this year. Starting with Jordan Williams winning his first ever elite race. There was much talk about his junior rival Jackson Goldston at the start of the year, and rightly so, he's an amazing rider. But it was Jordan who did the almost unthinkable and translated his junior success straight into the big leagues. We've often seen junior racers having times that would win the elite races, but I've always argued that you can't really compare them. Well, it turns out you can. These riders are obviously super fast to be able to drop those times, but never underestimate actually how hard it is to do that when the time counts and when you're in the big league. Plus, of course, the conditions aren't always the same on the track for juniors earlier in the day and the elites later on. But possibly Williams flying slightly under the radar meant he didn't feel any of that pressure to perform in the elites, but he could just do exactly what he needed to do. And boy, was I impressed, and cynics like me can eat their words. These kids can win elite World Cups straight away. Maybe Jordan felt the pressure a little bit after the first race, but he raced consistently with a 13th a week later at round 2 and 7th at Snowshoe near the end of the season, and he would finish 14th overall. Amry Perion crashing out. He's always one of the main contenders. Perion is always there to race to win races and championships, but he's had a number of big injuries during his career. He crashed out in practice at round 1 at Lenzerheide into a tree. He got checked out and actually rode qualifying, obviously feeling very sore. He then got some x-rays that showed a fracture to a vertebrae in his neck that needed surgery, and that would actually prevent him from racing at all in 2023. The super talented Frenchman was missed sorely. Jackson Goldston almost winning the overall title. The wonderkind from Squamish with a head to match the talent. What can you say about this guy other than he's pure talent on a bike and mature also beyond his years? To be at the final race at Mont Saint-Anne within spitting difference in the overall title of Loic Bruni, the 6-time world champion and 3-time overall champion, tells you everything you need to know about Jackson Goldston. I actually had a late night chat with Steve Peat in the bar at Lord at the pre-season event where we were discussing his chances of winning the overall at his first go. His ability was obvious, but his sheer range of skills and racing brain made it seem very possible. Is he going to be unbeatable in future years? Well, the odds are good, but downhill never stays the same, and momentum from year to year can change dramatically as well after the cooling down of the off-season. But if anyone can do it, it's probably this guy. Rachel Atherton's winning return after stepping back from racing in 2019 and having a baby. The 6-time world champion has dipped her toes a little bit back into downhill racing occasionally, but her winning run at Lenzerheide just goes to show that if she puts her mind to it, she can still be the fastest woman on the planet. Andreas Kolb representing the red and white of Austria. Andreas Kolb, riding the Atherton bike, has been moving up the results sheet in an impressive manner since 2020, with plenty of podium rides, but it was in his home nation and just down the road from his house in the legendary riding location of Schladming, where he'd take his first ever World Cup win and cement himself as a rider in the hunt for the overall championship. Camille Balan crashed hard in practice in Andorra, getting blown by the wind off of the road gap. She was airlifted off the hill and a checkup showed no broken bones, but the head injury would mean she was out for the season. Valley Hull would go on to win 5 out of the 9 big races in 2023, if you include her winning run at the World Champs in Fort William. She had a crash here and there, but 2023 really seemed like the season where Valley got her ducks in a row and showed the raw speed we know her for, but also the consistency to see her win an overall World Cup by a big margin. TBO Depra going solo in Andorra. One of the fastest and wildest racers out there. Depra is amazing to watch, and he could maybe have been feeling a bit more pressure to perform this year as he was missing his two big teammates, Amry Perion and Miriam Nicole, out with injury. But perform he did in front of the Commencal team owner and just a stone's throw from the company HQ in Andorra. That's got to be one of the biggest moments in his career. But just a week later, we were talking about him for another reason. His crash in the finals wasn't massive. One of a few riders that had trouble in this section. His crash was the most dramatic and his bike went absolutely miles over the crash netting. Carnage at Ludenviel, including Finnars's crash and disqualification. Maybe not as spectacular as Depra, but definitely more costly. Finnar scrubbed hard coming into that same section, but unclipped, went wide, and really importantly, out of the tape. Riders have to enter back where they came out. That section was so steep that even if Finn had pushed back up, I don't think it would have made much difference. At the time, Finn was leading the World Cup overall with a slim margin to his teammate Loic Bruni. The 0 points from the final were a killer to his overall dreams. Benoit Coulange dominating in Haute-Savoie. He won every timed run that weekend at the old heritage downhill racing venue of Ligier that's becoming legendary for its track and its atmosphere, particularly wild if there is a French winner of the race. Benoit dealt with the pressure of a home race and being fastest all weekend. He kept his cool and went fastest again in the final and took his first ever win. But a bit of a bummer at the end of the season, he crashed in snowshoe and broke his scaphoid. Oisin O'Callaghan wins in snowshoe. Another former junior world champion. He showed mega speed all weekend in timed runs in snowshoe and put in a wild run in the final on a course that was proving really hard to get right. When the final rider on the hill, Loic Bruni, took a massive crash into a rock section after clipping his bars on a tree, Oisin would take his and Ireland's first ever World Cup win. There was so much more to 2023, lots of injuries and punctures taking out a lot of top riders, especially people like Greg Minnaar, and later in the season, Jackson Goldston as well. There were breakout rides for Ethan Craik and Dakota Norton being a regular podium threat. Well, that was 2023. What do we have to look forward to next year? Well, Asa Vermette, a super fast rider, will be going to junior racing next year. Also, hopefully the return of Miriam Nicole and Amry Perion, and hopefully some more racing from Rachel Atherton. Who knows? I can't wait to see it, and I hope you enjoyed that bit of a recap of the 2023 World Cup Downhill.